Hi, welcome back to Deliberate Leaders. I am Allison Dunn, your business executive coach and owner of Deliberate Directions. And today on our podcast, we have an awesome guest. His name is Marc Allen. He is the co-founder of the publishing company, The New World Library, which he started with a business partner over 40 years ago. Since then, the company has printed over 500 titles. Today, New World Library employs 16 people and generates 8 figures in revenue each year. Marc is also an author in his own right. He wrote The Visionary Business, The Millionaire Course, and The Greatest Secrets of All. He also updated the classic book, As a Man Thinketh, by James Allen, and one of my all-time favorites. The updated version, titled As You Think, is on our Deliberate Directions website under our most recommended reading. In his spare time, Marc enjoys composing. He's recorded several albums of original music, which you can find on Spotify, and his music is very relaxing and soothing. Today we're talking to Marc about his books, including his most recent one, which is The Magical Path. And I just want to thank you so much for being here with us this afternoon, Marc.
Thank you for having me on, Allison. I love your show. I love just the title, Deliberate Directions. It's very powerful.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So thinking names of companies, yours is New World Library, and so you are a publisher of hundreds of titles. So what is the mission of your publishing company?
Well, to change the world, to change people's lives and change the world. We actually say that in our catalog, and I think that's a pretty good mission.
I think it is as well. I would agree. And I would say that of the few titles that I'm most familiar with, you've changed my life with those and having access to them. So thank you for that. So you've explored a lot of diverse interests on your own behalf in your career, from publishing to writing to composing to public speaking. So how do you find time to pursue all of those interests?
I have plenty of time. I decided the day I turned 30 was the day that changed my life, and I decided to start a publishing company. I woke up in a state of shock. I'll never forget this day because I was in shock thinking, I'm 30. I wasn't a kid anymore. Before that, I'd had a rock band. I'd been an actor. I'd been a Zen student. I'd been a Tibet Buddhist student. I had tried to back to land. Everything I tried fell apart. In my late 20s, I just did some jobs. I got fired as a busboy and dishwasher for being too slow, and fired as a typesetter for not showing up on time. And then I turned 30. I had no job, no money, nothing. And I remembered a little game I played where you imagine your ideal scene 5 years down the road as if everything has gone as well as you could imagine. And that's where I wrote down my ideal scene, and much to my surprise, because I've been a musician and composer, and much to my surprise, the first thing that spilled out was, I have a publishing company, and it's very successful. And then I thought, I want my ideal too, and I said, and I have it with ease. I have success with ease. I don't work too hard. I only work when I feel like it. And I knew that meant musician's hours, because I love musician's hours. You never do a thing till 1 in the afternoon. So all my doubts and fears said, impossible, you got to work really hard. And I got around it by saying, let me try this as an experiment to start my own company, but to keep being lazy, sleep late, and work only when I feel like it. None of this 40-hour week stuff, which I thought was inhumane. So my doubts and fears said, will never work. And I said, let me try it for a year or two as an experiment. They said, impossible. And I said, look, if it doesn't work, and most of my thinking, I think, thought it wouldn't work. But I said, if it doesn't work, I'll be no worse off than I am now. I had no job, no money, no family support. So even my doubts and fears had to say, yeah. So I said, okay, I'm trying this experiment. And I went for it. I started a company. I kept sleeping late. Actually, I had to get a 40-hour week job for a little while to finance stuff, but I got out of that as soon as I could. And then that was my whole saying, oh, you do books and music and seminars and run a company and have a family and it's all. And I just keep saying, I have plenty of time. I have a life of ease. The amount of hours required to do something is completely something we invent for ourselves, create for ourselves. I've built a very successful company, and I usually work 20, 25 hours here, maybe. It varies. But this 40-hour-a-week myth is ridiculous. I think it's inhumane.
I agree with you. I think society has definitely given us a very structured box on how business is supposed to be done, and I don't think it needs to be that.
No.
Yeah, entirely.
My own father, when I started the business, his first words were, when I told him on my birthday, I said, I'm going to start a business. His first words were, well, 80% of businesses fail in the first 2 years.
Which is true.
And then he said, and to start a business, you got to work 60 hours a week at least. That was my dad's, and I realized, okay, he's one of these people I can't share my dreams with because he'll shoot them down. He's mirroring my own doubts and fears about it. But that was the support I got from my dad when I started my company.
Interesting how the people closest to us often say things just to protect us from it, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
So you've proven that your experiment is possible, right?
Yes, it worked.
It worked.
Definitely worked.
So do you think it was the approach of going about it as an experiment, or do you have any specific advice as to someone who would say, this is what I want, to how to stay focused on creating that?
Mm-hmm. I think the idea of looking at it as an experiment is really good. It sure worked for me. Because what happens, I think the older I get this information, there's just two essential things. We need to dare to dream of real success for us and what it really, really means. And then we need to deal with all the doubts and fears that inevitably come up as soon as we start to do anything. Those are the two essential things. And I found telling my doubts and fears, I'm going to experiment. This is just an experiment. Give me a year or two to really go for this dream. Go for it in my own unique, creative way. For me, it was lazy way. I'm lazy. And I've always been lazy. I've never been a morning person, even as a little kid. So, a lot of people are morning people, and that's great. For years, I was married to someone who kept saying, Mark, if you did get up even an hour earlier, you'd be more on top of things and stuff. She was mirroring something. But I'd say, no. I realized my experiment is to enjoy each day of my life, to do what I love to do. Every day's a vacation for me. But some days I like to go in the office.
Love that.
For part of the day, for the afternoon.
Mm-hmm. That sounds wonderful. I am admiring your newest book, The Magical Path. And so can you tell us what is your book about?
I thought it would be much shorter. I did a seminar, a 6-week seminar on the Magical Path, and basically got the outline for the book. And then I did a whole year on the Magical Path, a teleconference, where there's 12 chapters in the book. We spent a whole month on each chapter, and that's when I really wrote every chapter. It took a year writing the book. At first, I thought it would be much shorter, because my whole idea was looking back, saying, okay, when I turned 30, I was a total poverty case. I also had a lot of anxiety. And by the time I was 35, 36, I had already built substantial wealth and really found much greater peace of mind, which is far more important than that wealth. What made the difference? And really, that's the basis of all of my books. Visionary Business, I told the business side of it, creating a successful business. The Millionaire Course, I told the whole financial side of it. Magical Path, I realized, wait, I found a book on magic when I was 21 years old, and it really affected my life. It healed me by Israel Regardie. Little tiny short book. In fact, I excerpted almost the entire book. Something like 95+% of the book is in chapter 4 of The Magical Path.
Okay.
So you get 2 books for the price of one here. I found that book at 21, and it healed me. I was in horrible health when I dropped out of college. I had taken way too much crystal methadone. It was terrible, terrible for my health, and I wasn't even aware of it. And I found that book, and that book healed me. There's a simple meditation called the Middle Pillar Meditation that I did. I'll never forget the first time I did it. I just sat down and did it. I got up. I felt healed. I felt totally different from when I sat down. You could send healing energy anywhere in your body. It was absolutely new to me, and I just kept trying it, and it worked. And so that's where I started doing all these little magical things. And then writing Magical Path, I thought it'd be much shorter because I only wanted to do what I actually did. Everything tried and true. And I kept remembering it, usually at 3 a.m. Oh, yeah, I did that too. Maybe that worked. Who knows what works and what doesn't? But I just tried things with an open mind. I always say to people, there's nothing to believe in any of my books or any of these things. There's no leap of faith. I never had to make a leap of faith to come to believe in affirmations or healing meditations or anything. I just tried them. What's the harm to try it?
There's
just
no
try
harm.
it with an open mind and see the results.
Absolutely. So you referred to it. It's called Middle Pillar Meditation. And
yes.
On your YouTube channel, you have over 50,000 people who have watched you lead them through that type of meditation. So for our listeners, could you just kind of give us an overview of what Middle Pillar Meditation is?
Sure. I mean, better than that, we can just do it in 2 minutes.
Okay.
We can just do it. Do you want to just do it?
Sure. Let's do it.
I mean, rather than talk about it, all you do is just sit comfortably.
Okay.
Or I love to lay down.
Do I close my eyes?
But just sit comfortably.
Okay.
And then just close your eyes.
Okay.
Take a deep breath and feel at the top of your head. You can even tap the top of your head. One time in Zen meditation, it just happened to me, and it felt like I was tapped on the top of my head. And then take a deep breath, and then as you exhale, imagine just this healing energy slowly moving down your whole body, filling your head with healing light, your throat, your chest, your stomach, your whole pelvic area, your legs, with healing energy. Then take another deep breath and do it again, just top to bottom as you exhale. Just feel right down the center of your body, this healing light energy, nourishing and healing every cell. One more breath, do it one more time. And be just relaxed and feel that field of energy inside you, that field of light energy. And just imagine it's healing every cell of your body, rejuvenating every cell. Just imagine you're in perfect health. And that's actually the basis of the whole meditation. And you can take that energy and you can send it to other people. You can imagine attracting to you even wealth and abundance. The book, The Art of True Healing, is not only about healing your body, it should be called The Art of True Magic, because it even gets into meditating like that and filling your body with blue energy. It says blue is attractive, and you imagine yourself attracting money. Or you can fill it with purple energy, and you can send people good energy. There's all these wonderful meditations. Who knows about the physics and chemistry of it all? I do know they've proven now that definitely what you're thinking about affects every cell of your body. Mm-hmm. So I have no doubt that these meditations in some way really, really work.
Yeah. So I'm on video right now just doing this meditation with you, and I've been struggling with a cold, so I hope that just cleared up my cold.
Yes, there you go, right. Yes, just relax. Yeah, I mean, knock on wood, I never get colds.
Yeah. I don't either, so usually.
Oh, good for you. That's great.
Yeah.
I have been in perfect health since I first did this at 21. I almost never get a cold. Maybe I had the flu once, and one time I had stomach poisoning. But that's been it for the last 50 years.
That is in good health. Good on you. In this book, you also share your advice about mastering time and money. And so I coach business owners and executives all over the country. So what do we need to know to do that?
Yes. That's kind of critical for business owners. In fact, for everyone.
Yes.
We can master time and money. They are not complex. I write in there. I started a book called Time and Money, and it had two parts. And part one was time, part two was money, and they had exactly the same words in each part, except for the word time and money. It was exactly the same book because it's the same concept. Mm-hmm. It's just getting that our beliefs about ourselves, about the world, all our beliefs are not necessarily true in themselves. Many people have completely different sets of beliefs about themselves, about the world. Our beliefs are not true in themselves, but they become true in our thinking if we believe them to be true. Mm-hmm. And once they're true in our thinking, they become true in our lives once we believe them to be true. So whatever we believe about money or time is, in a way, it's completely arbitrary. It's just what we grew up with, what we were told by family, by friends, by school, media. All we've come to have this complex set of beliefs about time and about money. Well, we can look at all those beliefs and we can change them. I took an amazing workshop when I was 28 that changed my life, where I learned a process called the core belief process, which I have in the book. It's in all my books.
Okay.
It's in Millionaire Course. It's in The Magical Path. It's in The Greatest Secret of All, because it changed my life. Basically, you just look at your beliefs. It's especially good when you have a problem. It's most effective to do when you're dealing with some problem or you're upset about something. And you just ask yourself 8 questions. I can just whip through the 8 questions. It's a very simple little process.
Absolutely.
The first question is just, what's the problem? Oh, okay, I don't have enough time, or I don't have enough money, or it's so hard to make money. I'm broke. Okay, I did it when I was nearly bankrupt. I started my company. I went $65,000 into credit card debt. And this was the early 80s, so this was probably
high interest,
close to $200,000 in today's dollars.
Oh my gosh!
And I'm nearly bankrupt. Our distributor collapsed, didn't pay us for 6 months of sales. So I was nearly bankrupt, and I did a core belief process there that changed my life. You ask one, what's the problem? I'm nearly bankrupt. I don't have any money whatsoever. Then you say, what are you feeling physically? It's very good to tune into that. Physically, okay, I'm uptight, my shoulders. I remember my stomach was churning with anxiety. I think I would have had an ulcer if I would have continued on that. Mm-hmm. Then 3, what are you feeling emotionally? Just name the emotion. Don't dwell on it or get into it. What are you feeling? Frustration, anxiety, just name it. There's some anger down there. Whatever the emotion is, just name it and just look at it without judgment. Just we're opening the doors to all our fears, because there's fear underneath all that emotion. You get into the role of fear. Okay, then what are you telling yourself? We kind of touched on that in one when we said, what's the problem? But just what repetitive thoughts? Just go over all these repetitive thoughts. Well, life is such a struggle. It's so hard. And you just really get into those repetitive thoughts. Then 5, what's the worst that could happen? And that's really good, because it gets you to really look at all those terrible fears. well, I could go bankrupt. I could be homeless. I could. And then you even ask, what's the very worst thing that could happen? And I remember saying, okay, I could die a homeless drunk in the gutter, and no one would care. A long, painful death, no one would care. That was about the worst thing I could think of. And it ends up, usually, I've done this with hundreds of people over the years, you usually end up smiling because you realize, well, the chances of that worst case scenario happening are pretty minimal. Then, okay, 6, what's the best thing that could happen? What's your ideal scene in this situation? I've done this hundreds of times with hundreds of people, and we're almost all the same. When you say, what's the worst thing, you immediately, wow, you get right into it. When you say, what's the best thing, people pause and go, and we realize, we have been dwelling on our fears. We have not been even dwelling on the best possibilities. We haven't clearly gotten a picture of that. So you get a clear picture of what's the best thing that could happen in this situation. For me, it was, well, we could get another distributor and make some money and get profitable. and it was like that. It was like, to be a big duh, I should get another distributor now. It had been 6 months. So that's 6. Then 7. Okay, once you look at the best thing, you just ask yourself a simple question. Why isn't the best thing happening? Why? Mm-hmm. Whatever you come up with is your deep underlying belief that's preventing the best thing from happening. I remember with me, it was just, I'm just out of control about money. I'm just a fool with money. I'm out of control. I'm an idiot. I don't understand it. That was really my core belief. No wonder I was broke. Duh. Once you nail that core belief, 8, the final question is, what's the counter statement? What's the statement that absolutely counters that? What affirmation you can call it, or you can just call it a counter statement? What words can you start telling yourself that overcome the previous words you've been telling yourself based on that deep belief? For me, it was, okay, I feel I'm a fool, out of control. The counter statement is, I am sensible and in control of my finances. I am creating total financial success in an easy and relaxed manner, in a healthy and positive way. That was my affirmation. I started doing that. Within 6 months, my entire financial life had turned around. We were profitable. We were making money. I paid off all my debt. That's the power of that core belief process and the power of the right affirmation or counter statement.
For sure. Thank you for walking through all of those 8 questions. Super powerful. I grew up I'm very visual, so I have a lot of visualization that I personally do, and that's been just a natural thing that happens, I guess, in my belief system of the way I was raised, like, well, what's possible, right? Anything's possible. And the addition of the, actually audibly saying the affirmation is so impactful to combine the two.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes. I know. Yes, the visual element, I guess I'm not that visual.
Okay.
But I know years ago, Shakti Gawain and I used to do these long workshops, and she would pull out treasure maps. She'd have everybody make a treasure map, a visual poster with their ideal scene visually. Mm-hmm. And we'd be cutting out stuff from magazines and drawing and, all this visual stuff. And I have met so many people over the years that they often say, I took the seminar, I did a treasure map, I put it away and forgot about it, and then 5 years later I found it, and most of the stuff I had actually achieved. Yes, for visual people, a visual image of success is, I kind of have a mental visual image. My company, the image I had was, I have a ship that cruises along of its own energy, and I'm kicked back on a back deck, with a tall drink or something, in a hammock or something, just relaxing, and the whole thing's cruising. That was my visual image. And I remember the first few years, the image I realized I had was, I was being this little tugboat trying to push the ship, and I was pushing, it was getting nowhere. Once I realized, I thought, okay, I got to get this tugboat
bigger.
moving that ship. Yeah, get it moving. Yeah, those visual images are very powerful because they speak right to our subconscious mind.
Absolutely. I want to just reaffirm that As You Think is, I think, how I actually got connected with you, being one of those audibles that if I have not listened to it 100 times, I haven't listened to it once. So that is your voice, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Wow. It is one of those listens that resets, I guess, my energy is the way I would almost describe it. And there's a few things that I love most about the messaging in the book. And it's not about what I want, because I recommend it to everyone. But when you chose that book and you chose to spotlight it, what were some of the major themes that you feel are most important that people should understand about that book?
That book is, in a way, I studied Tibetan Buddhism for 3.5 years trying to figure that out. And there are these wonderful traditional Buddhist books that have all of the wisdom in the title. If you get the title, you don't have to read it. Then you open it up, and there's a small poem, a short poem. If you get the poem, you don't have to read the book. And then, if you don't get the poem, you read the book. When I saw As You Think, I said, this is exactly like a traditional Buddhist book. It contains all the wisdom you need. The entire book contains everything you need for a wonderful, fulfilling life, and even enlightenment, in my opinion. And so the title, As a Man Thinketh, there was also As a Woman Thinketh. So that's why I just changed it to As You Think. It's all there in the title. And then the opening poem is just this short poem it opens with. And the poem is, mind is the master power that molds and makes, and we are mind, and evermore we take the tool of thought, and shaping what we will, bring forth 1,000 joys, 1,000 ills. We think it's secret, and it comes to pass. The world is but our looking glass.
So
That's
beautiful.
The entire content of the book.
Yeah.
You understand the poem, you don't need to read the book.
There's one statement, and it's the weed seeds, like the things that you allow into your mind, right? And do you know what the quote is that you say in that particular book, where you, those who cultivate their mind, and basically don't allow the weed seeds to grow and overtake it?
Yes. Your mind is like a garden.
Yes.
And whatever you plant in it will flourish.
Yes.
So if we allow weed seeds, we have a garden full of weeds. Yeah, I love that image.
Correct.
If
Yes.
we plant seeds focused on what we really want, just planting the seeds in our mind, it will grow, definitely.
Absolutely.
He quotes another poem there, you will be what you will to be. I love that.
I do as well. And for all of our listeners, if you've not downloaded that Audible, it's outstanding. Truly one of my favorites. James Allen says that your thoughts impact your health and your age, and that includes your heart rate, sleep patterns, chronic pain, and even skin conditions. Could you share some examples of thoughts that help make us young?
Oh, yes. I always say, I'm very young for my age. In fact, when I turned 70, I decided to tell my subconscious mind I was 35. I've divided my age in half. So now I'm 36 and a half years old.
I love that.
I keep saying I'm very young for my age. And I am very young. I'm very healthy. I'm very limber, flexible. I run up the stairs. I run around like a little kid sometimes. I watch little kids, how they run and how they jump and how they keep moving. And I do that. Here I am, 73 years old, I'm bouncing around. And I tell myself, I am in perfect health. I even say every day in every way I'm getting better and better. As is a mantra I keep repeating often through the day. Every day in every way I'm getting better and better. Your subconscious mind just says yes. And I know James Allen is so right that he says our mind is he uses the word plastic in an old art. He says our mind is very plastic. What he means is flexible and changeable and movable. And it is. We do rebuild our bodies with our minds. Our minds have such power in our bodies that, who knows, part of my experiment is how young can how long can this thing go? I've been seeing an acupuncturist now, this wonderful old Chinese woman, and she says she'll help me to live to be 120 in perfect health. I said, okay, that's a good visualization. I'd like another 50 years of publishing, because the first 40 have been amazing. The next 50 are going to be incredible too.
Absolutely. In your book, The Magical Path, you do have a poem, much like in the James Allen book. Is this a Tibetan poem, or is this a poem you've written?
Which one does it start? Is it you will be?
When you are inspired by some great purpose.
Oh, that's from Patanjali, from 200 BC. When you're inspired by some great purpose. Yes.
I see that now. You're right. I guess you didn't write this one.
No, but it's so brilliant. It could have been written yesterday. It is so timely.
Yeah.
Oh, read it. I think it's one of the most inspiring things I had that on my door for years.
Okay, so if I understand it, I don't need to read the book. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay.
Yes, if you understand this, you don't need to read the book.
All right, so the poem goes, when you are inspired by some great purpose, some extraordinary project, all your thoughts break their bonds. Your mind transcends limitations. Your consciousness expands in every direction, and you find yourself in a new, great, and wonderful world. Dominant forces, faculties, and talents become alive, and you discover yourself to be a greater person by far than you ever dreamed yourself to be. So,
yes.
Yeah, that's lovely.
That was written 2,200 years ago, and we're just discovering it now.
Yeah, that's beautiful. We are at almost the top of the hour, and I just want to make sure that I give our listeners an opportunity to find, what's the best way to connect with you or follow you online? What is your preferred? Where should they find you?
Oh, thanks for asking me. MarcAllen.com, MarcAllen.com is getting better and better. And I do have a Facebook page that's Success with Ease page that has been a really nice chat group. People have been joining my Facebook things.
And I just want to confirm that was Success with Ease. Was that okay? Excellent. And that's Facebook. Okay, great.
If you just Google Marc Allen Success with Ease or something, you can find the Facebook page. And it's I'm just about every day I do something in there and have a bunch of amazing people now doing. Today, this morning, somebody had drawn the cutest drawing of Eckhart Tolle and quoting him for something, and it was like a cartoon, but it captured his sweetness, and his youthfulness. It was beautiful. So that's a fun thing to do. And then starting January, I'm going to do a year on the magical path, like I did before, because people just loved it, and it's an ongoing year-long thing that just involves a lot of chatting and a lot of exploring of the entire book. We do a chapter each month. Beautiful.
That is so lovely. Is there any final message that you would like to share with our audience? Is something that I didn't think to ask you or that you hoped that I was going to bring up?
I think we sure talked about it, but I always just say the same thing over and over to everybody. I don't care if I just said this to a girl in a coffee shop. I mean, I get talking to people, and I just encourage everyone to go for your dreams. Dare to dream. Go for it. You'll never, ever regret it. Yes, doubts and fears will come up, but there's ways to deal with them. All our lives we've dealt with doubts and fears. So dare to dream, and your most expansive dream, and go for it. You will never regret
I think that's an excellent piece of advice for all of our listeners. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. It's been a pleasure, Marc.
Thank you so much, Allison. I love your show. I love it. Deliberate direction. It's good.
Thank you. Thank you so much.